Welcome, everyone, to Slingshot 25 Shotcast. It's a series of bite-sized podcasts that will feel like an espresso shot to your brain. I'm Jackie.
I'm Courtney.
And you might notice that you can see us. We're trying something new with our Shotcast today, so you can actually see us in this episode. And I feel like I want to say, Courtney, sorry about your luck.
Limited, what's in the movies like limited showings. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes. But as usual, we've got something we've been thinking about. So, something that we've been thinking about is this idea that leadership is a thing.
Yes, it is.
That's profound, Courtney. Profound.
And
I
that's
feel,
it. That's all we got for today. So,
I feel like we could just do a mic drop at this point. But I feel like we should probably unpack this a little bit, unwind this, say, sounds like a pretty crazy statement. Leadership is a thing. Seems kind of obvious. Let me tell a bit of a story here, maybe just a little vignette that will make the point of what we're really talking about here. Although I never talk about what happens inside of coaching sessions, I will describe, though, I once had a coaching client who, I do a lot of leadership coaching, and at some point throughout this coaching engagement, this client said something to me along the lines of, you know, I'm starting to realize that like leadership is like a thing. Like you can get better at it. He had started like reading some books and getting really excited about it. Like it was fascinating to watch this client just sort of light up by this idea, almost like he had discovered something fascinating and new. I mean, this is someone who'd been in the workforce for quite some time doing, highly professional things, very accomplished person. And then, of course, was now sitting in a leadership spot and really kind of struggling with that. So it was really fantastic just to like see that happen. And I'll tell you, I kind of had to, I guess from that moment, realize that, yeah, I've known this forever, but just to watch that on kind of play out that way was fascinating to me.
well, and then I think you probably immediately crossed the hall and came and talked to me, and we're like, yeah, of course it's a thing. And we end up having the additional conversation of why is this such a novel idea? And it's like, of course it's a thing. It's different than what you were doing. Leadership's a thing. We wouldn't sit here doing what we do for a living if it wasn't. One of the things that gets away with that, we talk about it a lot, is like, what do people think leadership is?
Yeah, that's right.
Right? What do they actually think it is?
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of useful to think about some of the things we believe that it's not, because the things that people believe it is that it's actually not confuse what leadership is. One of them is personality assessments.
Yeah.
Like personality assessments are personality assessments. They are for helping you understand yourself. They're for helping you create awareness of who you are and how you are in the world. And when they're used well, they help you build awareness of yourself and awareness of others. And that can build connection, that can build trust, that can build relationships. But in and of themselves, personality assessments are almost have nothing to do with leadership.
Yeah.
In
What I
your
hear you saying
practice.
there, Courtney, is there is no leadership personality.
Right. That's another way to say it. So you can have any personality type. Think about it this way. Regardless of your personality type, the people that you've worked with, they've been all sorts of personality types. You've seen some personality types that are excellent leaders, and you have some personality types that are horrible leaders because it
Yeah.
comes down to the leadership, not the personality type.
Yeah. I love that.
Right.
Yeah. So true. So true. Another one that comes up for me is, and because I spend a lot of time in a classroom, as do you, teaching leadership, is it's not a bunch of tips and tricks and tactics and models and acronyms and I think we've said that before in our conversations here. Like we that's kind of a thing with us. Like we like to create learning moments with leaders that are not really centered around those models and techniques and tricks and all of that kind of stuff. Because although, some of those things are helpful and useful, they don't constitute leadership. Leadership is a way of thinking. So anyone who's trying to, as we say, like act their way through leadership is at some point, like what do they say? the gig will be up, right? Like it will eventually sort of not work for you because you haven't come into the space and to come into leadership with a with the habits and the thinking that are actually required to be a leader.
Right. The next 5 minutes, who you
Yeah,
are all the time, right?
yeah,
And then probably the last one, and there's probably more. But the last one I wanted to pick apart and share with you today is leadership is also, although it's a title, it's not a title.
yeah,
Like you do not get bestowed any leadership skill by having a title. And the reverse is true. Like I've had some conversations recently where I know people who are being considered for greater titles and they're nervous that they're not worthy of those titles. I'm like, but you're a leader. So because you're a good leader is why you're being offered that opportunity. Don't be afraid of it. Once you step into it with your leadership skills, you can handle the title. And you have
yeah,
other people who have the title and they think that gives them some kind of power that people will follow them. And your title does not do that. It doesn't make you a leader. Caring about people, being humble in their midst, preparing them for success, that makes you a leader. So we get kind of all tangled up about what we think leadership is and what it's not.
yeah.
And yeah, leadership's a thing.
It
So
is a thing. And I like what you're saying there, Courtney, about there are certain jobs, like if you think of an org chart structure, there's boxes on
say it
that
three
thing,
times
right?
fast.
No, no, don't make me do that. Then this video thing will be a complete flop. Um, so, there are boxes on that org chart that if you don't have leadership skills and you're sitting in that box, that's going to be a real problem. I mean, we want to see leadership skills in every box. That would be great because, of course, leadership is a thing. It's about showing up in a way and caring and nurturing and all that stuff, right? That empathy and curiosity and all of those things. So that's great to have that in every box on the org chart. There are some, and of course, you know which boxes I'm talking about. They're the ones that have lines coming out of the bottom of that box, meaning you have direct reports, meaning you have the ability to crush some souls if you don't actually have these kinds of skills. So that's important for certain jobs on that org chart. But that org chart box does not define leadership. So it's that weird, like, one thing has to be both things, but you know what I mean? Like, so it's kind of, and I think people intuitively
All
get,
bourbons are whiskey, but not all whiskey's bourbon.
hey, that's what I was trying to think of. Well done. I don't know if that's true. I don't drink
I
either
might have
one.
said it backwards, but who's
Anyway,
listening to us? No one.
so I'll end us with this. It's just this idea that leadership is a thing. And I sometimes at the beginning of training classes, I will go around and, during the introduction phase and I will say, so tell me your line, tell me your name and how long you've been here, whatever you want to tell me, some fun fact about yourself and tell me what you do. Like, what do you do? Like, what's your job? And everyone goes around and, and they all answer the question with like, I'm Joe and I'm in sales, or I'm Sarah and I'm in engineering, or something like this. And I always tell them, oh my gosh, you all got the first question wrong. You got the first question wrong. And we, have to do some head scratching on it for a little while until they get to the point of you're not in that business. You're not in sales or engineering or operations or whatever it may be. You're in the people business. And that to me is what really defines leadership. So now I just realize, having told that story, I'll never be able to do this party trick again in the classroom if people listen to this. So with that said, let's call it. Let's call it for this episode of our Shotcast. But as you all know, we always have much more to say. So if you want to hear more, drop us a line at slingshot25.com.